The Travel Transformation Podcast is proud to be partnered with Give the Goodness Global, an amazing global outreach project helping families in need all over Southeast Asia and beyond. Please check them out at Instagram.com/Give the Goodness Global today. And now on to the podcast episode.
Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation, exploring the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply wish to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, certified travel coach, founder of the Travel Transformation Company, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Hi, and welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation. My name is Jessica Grace Coleman, and I'm your host. And today is the first Travel Transformation Podcast interview of 2024. And I'm talking to a friend of mine, Toks Coyle, virtual assistant and travel blogger, and my one-time co-living housemate. I met Toks last year in May at the Sun & Co pop-up co-living in the Basque Country, Spain, and we had a great time. We bonded over both living in Britain and being introverts, and it was great getting to know Toks both in our co-living house and in the little pop-up spin-off we did after in Bilbao. In this interview, we discuss her virtual assistant business, Toks Rocks, and how it allows her to travel to all kinds of amazing places, digital nomad conferences and retreats, how she balances traveling and working remotely with her home base and her husband, and so much more. So let's get straight to the interview. So hi, Toks. Thank you for coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, hi Jess. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's nice to see you again. So I mentioned this in the intro, but we met actually last year in Sun & Co at the pop-up in the Basque Country. So I'm going to ask you a little bit about that later on, have a little chat about that. Yeah. First of all, can you just introduce yourself to our listeners? So just say who you are, where you're from originally, and where you are right now, because I know you're in a lot more nicer, exotic place than I am right now. So if you just let us know a bit about you.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So my name is Toks Coyle. I describe myself as British Nigerian. So yeah, I'm like the daughter of Nigerian parents, but I was born and grew up in England, in the UK, in London specifically. Although nowadays I'm more based in Scotland, near Edinburgh, just because that's where my husband's from. And yeah, what I do, I have my own virtual assistant business. So I work remotely, providing flexible admin, marketing support, business support to small business owners remotely. And then I've also started a passion project on the side, which is my travel blog. So I just thought, because I love traveling, my VA business has been helping me fund that, which I'm very fortunate for. And yeah, I just thought I'd do a bit more on like practicing my writing and just writing about my adventures and seeing how they help people. And also, trying to get business opportunities from that as well. So yeah, those are the two things I'm doing at the moment.
Nice. And at the moment you're in the Canary Islands, right? So what are you doing there?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I am in Gran Canaria. I'm here with my husband, actually. Sometimes I travel with him. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I travel like by myself, it just depends. But yeah, I like both experiences. But yeah, we're here together. We're just on a workation pretty much. Just especially because I'm not a fan of like cold weather, UK weather, to be honest with you. And it's like it's worse at the moment,
Oh, yeah.
the winter. So
I think January is always the worst, isn't it? Because Christmas is gone, all the decorations, the lights have come down, and you're just left with bleakness. So I totally understand you. I did want to ask about you and your husband, actually, because I know when I met you, you were traveling solo. And like you say, you do some traveling with him, some without. So I'm guessing he's really into travel as well. But how does that work in your relationship? Like, I'm assuming he has no problem with you traveling alone. Does he travel alone? Like, how does that work? And have you found it difficult, or does it just kind of work itself out?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because we met traveling, like when we first met, we met like backpacking in Australia. So obviously he likes traveling, although that was like, both our first times kind of doing something like that. So where he kind of liked it, but he is a bit more of a home comfort person, if I'm being honest. Whereas I just fell in love and caught the travel bug and wanted to keep doing it more. So I'm a bit more like, I'm the one that loves traveling a lot more. And it's kind of like, he kind of likes it and he'll kind of tag along with me sometimes if he can. And if it's like something he'll like, all that. So yeah. And then what he thinks of it, obviously, you know, he doesn't have a problem with me if I want to do a solo travel by myself or if I want to go with friends somewhere or something, you know, we're pretty chill and just let each other do our own thing sometimes. And, you know, I've never been away from him for more than maybe 3 months. Well, actually, if I don't count the time, there was a time where we were a long distance actually near the start of our relationship actually, because when I was living in London and he was living in Scotland. So we'd see each other every month. And then I did like summer camp job in America for, I think 3 months or 2.5 months. So that was the longest we were apart anyway. But yeah, so then there've been other times where we've kind of been apart. Like, I mean, last year we were apart for 7 weeks because I went to Spain and then Bali away from one trip. So yeah, I think the only downside is that we really miss each other when we do that. But it is kind of good to, you know, the whole cliche, absence makes the heart grow fonder, you know. So that happens anyway, you know. So we keep in touch, obviously, and with technology and all that, it's very easy to just message each other, call each other. And yeah, I enjoy the trips by myself, but also enjoy kind of travel with him sometimes as well. So yeah, it's good to get the best of both worlds.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that because I think so many people, when they get into relationships, they just think it's not an option for them to go solo traveling anymore, or they feel bad, or they don't want to bring it up or something. And you've proven that it can work.
Yeah.
Like you say, best of both worlds. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. You know, there are like real pros to it as well. So I love that. You mentioned there was it summer camp in America?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't like to talk about it too much because it didn't go as great as I wanted it to, but it's fine anyway. It was kind of like I was doing the camp counselling job, but I did it and I realised it wasn't really for me. I mean, I like kids, but I think it was just a bit overwhelming at the time. And then I struggled as well because like my pet rabbit died, so I was a bit sad whilst doing it. So yeah, it wasn't as great an experience as I hoped it would. I was finding it hard to find like-minded people there as well to hang out with, but you know, it's fine anyway. You live and you learn.
Exactly. And if you don't try new things, then you don't know that that's something you don't want to do again in the future. So it's like, even if it's an experience, you can learn from it. Great. Okay. So you mentioned this a bit before. So you have your own virtual assistant business, Toks Rocks. So can you tell me more about this? So when did you start it and what made you want to start it?
So I started it in the autumn of 2016. So basically this was like, I'd been living in Edinburgh for 2 years. Like I'd moved up in 2014 to be with my husband, as well as I went back to college to study full-time. A course in admin and IT. So I did that. I finished the course. I was doing and then I was applying for jobs pretty much, like applying for full-time office jobs. Yeah, and it was I was just having a tricky time of finding like, you know, jobs. You know, I was just doing the whole like applying for loads and loads and getting rejections, and it just, you know, and it was just, I just never enjoyed the whole process of that anyway. And then I think I got to a point where I got a bit fed up, and then during that process anyway, I kind of stumbled across I think I got an email newsletter about work from home jobs. So that was quite a new concept to me at the time. And I kind of had a look at these freelancer websites that you get, like Upwork and Fiverr, stuff like that. So I was having a look at the opportunities on there out of curiosity, and I saw virtual assistants mentioned. And that was kind of something I was like, oh, I didn't know what that is actually. So I looked it up on Google, and then, you know, a whole new world opened up to me because it was basically like, you know, virtual assistants, kind of self-employed freelance administrator sort of thing. So I was like, you know what, that kind of seems to suit a lot of the skills I already have. Deep down, I've always kind of had a bit of an interest in maybe starting my own business as well one day. When I was younger, I just didn't really know what 100%. But now that I kind of had this idea, I thought, okay, let's go for it, you know. I think one day I just decided to stop applying for jobs. Like at the time, I was working part-time anyway in a security job, security guarding. So I had something anyway to keep me going with the income. And then just alongside that, I did this virtual assistant course. I did a couple of other business courses. Like, because I think I was 24, 25 at the time. So I did like the Princess Trust Enterprise Program as well. I found that quite a useful introduction. So, and then it's just the way it started, really. At the beginning, it's just a lot of like learning, a lot of just testing, experimenting things. To be honest, it's still that to some extent now, but obviously I've got a lot more knowledge and experience now and confidence in what I'm doing. But yeah, then it was just it was a bit more tricky to just work out how to make a steady living. Like I think a lot of us experience that anyway, but I eventually got there. So yeah, that's pretty much how I started.
Nice. That's very similar to me, actually. I was very fed up with like applying for jobs and then like working in jobs where you just like the office politics and you have bosses that you don't like or who don't like you. And you just like, I just don't care about any of this work. Like I want to do my own thing. And then I also started when I had like a part-time job doing something else and like built it up from there. So we sound very similar. So for anyone who's listening who has not had a virtual assistant before, they think they might be able to get some use from it. What kind of services do you offer?
Yeah, so virtual assistants. So generally we're kind of freelance PAs, assistants, administrators. That's how I tend to describe it. The tasks that we can do can really range. So you do get a lot of VAs will kind of specialize in certain tasks or certain industries. But for me personally, I'd say I'm more leaning to doing marketing, tech VA stuff, as well as admin as well, and processes. So if I give examples, it's things like I can help you updating your newsletters, your mailing lists. I can do a lot of proofreading. I'm good with writing as well, so I can help you write, like whether it's your newsletters, write your blogs, write your social media posts. I help a lot around social media as well, so creating graphics, finding hashtags. Yeah, just a lot of the stuff like that, like even like creating presentations, data entry, databases, just like a lot of those time-consuming admin thingies that you need doing, but it's like it doesn't necessarily need to be done by you. So say you're like a coach or you're yourself, you're a writer or whatever, you can do more, you've got more hours to do that rather than the admin because, someone else like me is taking care of it.
Exactly. So you get to work like on the business, not in the business, that kind of thing. You're right. It's just so time consuming, all those little tasks. It just ends up taking up like most of the day. And then you're like, oh, I haven't actually done any of the actual work I need to do. So yeah. And
exactly.
And obviously this kind of work can be done remotely anywhere, which is how you are able to travel so much. But I just wanted to talk little bit about lifestyles and like the term digital nomad and that kind of thing. Because I think a lot of people think of digital nomads as people who, like I know some of these people who they're on the road all the time, like 24/7, years on end. They never stop. They don't have a home base. And there are people like that. But there are also people like us who like I spend most of my time in the UK and then I just go abroad like a few times a year, maybe for a few weeks or a couple of months or something at a time and work that way. So can you explain, because I know you have a home base, obviously you have a husband, all that kind of. So how would you describe your lifestyle? Because I know you do travel quite a lot and then you have your home to go back to. So how does that work for you and how do you incorporate travel into your life?
Yeah. I guess I'd say if I had to kind of put a label on it, I'm a bit more of a part-time digital nomad. Like I'm not on the road full-time. I've got the home base in Scotland. Like my husband and I, we own a flat there. So yeah, we're there a lot, obviously a lot of the year. But then in the past, I think maybe the past year and a half, I've just started to travel a lot more, because it's quite easy to just decide like, oh, okay, I'm just going to take a trip to this place for a few weeks or a couple of months or whatever. And yeah, do that and then just come back and your home is there sort of thing. So I do quite like that stability and, I'm still getting mail to my home if I need it and all that stuff. But it's still lovely as well having the flexibility to travel. So yeah, I'm happy that I get to do that. And then on the flip side, I don't want to stay in the UK all year. So I do like the flexibility of like, I can just kind of travel.
Exactly. You can run away when the weather gets too terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what I'm doing right now. So
that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned you also have your blog, Toks Travels. So what kind of stuff do you write about on there if people want to check it out?
Yeah, so I basically write about the sort of travel topics that I'm interested in. So that's like from backpacking, although I'm kind of not doing that as much, I guess, just with getting a bit older and that. But I don't mind it every now and then. Like I like hostels and as well as co-livings. I've started like staying in them quite a bit since the beginning of last year. That's a bit more of a newer concept that you're familiar with yourself. But yeah, I like writing about those, about in general being a digital nomad, about the destinations I've traveled to. Also, some of my vacations I've been writing about as well. Like I wrote about when I went to the Algarve. So yeah, I was checking out a bit of Faro, Lagos, when I went to Afro Nation Festival as well. So yeah, I just kind of just writing about all my travel things. And
Yeah, so if anyone needs some inspiration about where to go or like more info on co-livings and stuff, then your blog's quite a good thing. Because I know you wrote a blog post on the Basque Country pop-up that we went to. So like if you want more information on like what that kind of thing is like, then it's a great site to check out. So I just want to mention the pop-up that we went to. So I've talked a lot about it on this podcast. So if people have been listening, they'll have heard all about it anyway. But we did that, and then you were there for 2 weeks, and then we did a little spin-off in Bilbao for the weekend afterwards, which is great. So I wanted to ask you, how was that experience for you, and how did it compare to other co-livings or other hostels or things like that you've stayed at in the past?
Yeah, the Basque Country pop-up by Sun and Co. I really loved it. It was a great experience. I'm sure I kind of decided last minute to go as well, actually. It was even a week before, maybe 2 weeks before. I was like, I actually quite fancy going to this because previously I had been to the Sun and Co. main house in Javier as well. And I loved that experience. That was my first ever co-living, and it was like such a, nearly perfect co-working experience. Co-living, sorry. Yeah, so when I saw they did the pop-up, and I thought, yeah, why not? I'll give that a try, especially because it's only on a limited time as well. So let's try it before the chance goes. And I'm glad I did. I mean, Basque, I wasn't sure what to expect because I didn't know a lot about Basque Country, if I'm honest. That was my first time going. It's like the north of Spain. So it's very different climate to, say more south of Spain and Canaries. It wasn't what I was expecting. Like it's a lot more green. It wasn't as warm, but it was still beautiful. It's still worth a visit. And I did enjoy like the community. You were instantly welcomed by all these friendly, like-minded people. Same in the main Javier house as well. I love how organized it is. It's very well organized co-living as well. I think Sun and Co. like in both sites, like just the way they really co-create the events and things with the co-livers. So it's a case of like Sun and Co will kind of arrange some events, but they'll also be like, hey, what do you want to do? Put your IDs in and let's arrange this calendar. And I think that's really good, because it very easily has the potential to not really have much happening, if that makes sense. If there's no one there to take the initiative to arrange things. And then you still even get things that happen organically anyway. Like people might be like, hey, let's go do this thing, or whatever. So yeah, it was just a nice, pleasant experience. And, it's rural as well. So I'd say I'm a bit more maybe a city town person, but I think being somewhere rural every now and then is good though as well. Like nature is good. It's good to slow down a bit and then you just have more time as well to do your work as well. There's not as much distractions, so.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually something I had trouble with, because I've been to both the pop-up and the main house as well. And I think you're completely spot on about, the organization and the way they run things, the weekly meetings, the social events and professional events, the personal development stuff. It's just, they really nailed it. They've been doing it for a while now and they really know what they're doing. But yeah, in the main house in Javier, and Javier is only really like a small town. It's not like a big city, but there's still a lot more to do than there was in the Basque Country. And it's so much easier to get distracted, to just go for lunch. And you're like, oh, 3 hours have gone by when you're sitting there with your paella and your wine. You're like, oh, I should really get back to work. So yeah, I think it's kind of hard to strike a balance sometimes between the work you need to get done and wanting to do everything social wise. But yeah, they're a great company. And I really enjoyed going to the pop-up as well. So I wanted to ask you about, you always seem to be going to all these amazing sounding conferences and things like that. You always see on LinkedIn, you're always going to stuff like the Nomad Island Fest, I believe you went to.
Yeah, I went to that a month ago now, yeah.
Yeah.
Near the start of December.
Did you also do a talk? Is that where you did a talk?
Yeah, I did a talk there as well, yeah, about how to use and find good virtual assistants.
Nice. So congrats for that, because I know, like me, that kind of stuff doesn't come super naturally. So that would be a huge thing for me. So that's amazing. So for people who might not know, what kind of things happen at these kind of conferences? Like, what do you get out of them? And also, what was it like doing your talk?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, since I started my business, I've always been going to quite, different conferences, really. I've been to quite a few different ones, and they'd obviously really different vibe and stuff. But in the past, I suppose in the past couple of years, I've been a bit more intentional about this type of conferences and events I go to, because sometimes they can be it's just more people are just there to sell at you. Whereas I prefer more community-based, more of a community feel, like we're here to help each other sort of thing, and if business happens, then it happens, and yeah, and it happens organically too with people that and like and trust. So Nomad Island Fest, I'd say, is definitely one of those types of events, and the company is Nomad Escape. They also do other similar events, like they have pop-up co-livings and they have business retreats as well. So I've been to those, and it's just, I really like it. It's just, you do a lot of learning about business, but also they take a holistic approach of like, it's business, but we also have fun, do leisurely stuff, party, and also exercise as well. They put a bit of that into it, if that's stuff you're interested in. So yeah, that's quite good. And there are another two networks I really like. I went to this thing called Minoma Festival in November. So this is like a mindful nomads festival in Morocco. And yeah, that was actually mentioned by Michelle that runs the Nomad Escape, actually. But yeah, I went, and then that was lovely. It is a bit more kind of hippie, a bit more spiritual, but I enjoyed it though. It was nice, and you meet like such nice people. Like even, yeah, and the networking happens quite organically as well. Like literally earlier today, I came off a call with a couple of them that I'm talking about and working on a business opportunity with them. So yeah, that's been a great thing that's come out of that. I guess I can mention one more that I think that I've really liked is one of my clients called Andrew and Pete, my virtual assistant business. They do this conference called Atomicon every year. And that and their online community is just a really nice, supportive community. They're very good at being all like encouraging us to do well in business, practical tips, but also they like having the networking parties and stuff too. So I think I just like that, that good mix of like, yeah, community, we want to help each other, we want to be nice to each other, but there's also the practical things to help you with your business and all your life, really. So yeah, those are like the networks I'd personally recommend. So
nice. Yeah, I think I need to start going to more of these things because I'm in loads of like online stuff, but there's nothing quite like meeting in real life, IRL. Oh yeah. Sometimes to like get that real community feeling and like actually make connections with people in person, which is what I like about co-livings and stuff as well. So yeah, I definitely need to start looking into that more. And you did your talk there, so how did that go? And is that something you're looking to do more of in the future?
Yeah, so I did a talk at Nomad Island Fest in a month ago now. It was December 2023 at Nomad Island Fest. Yeah, this was in Madeira in Portugal. And yeah, it's funny because I'm not really much of a speaker, if I'm being honest. I'm more behind the scenes, or I'm more of a writer. But Michelle Marie, who runs the Nomad Escape anyway, when I was attending her retreat back in September, she kind of just asked if I wanted to be a speaker really at the Nomad Island Fest, and just as an opportunity to kind of, give a bit of value and promote myself a bit. And to be honest, I had to think about it, so because I was a bit like, I don't know actually, because I don't really go for things like that. But then in the end, I thought, actually, yeah, let's give it a go. It's an experience. And because that type of network, the Nomad Escape community, I feel like they are a very friendly bunch, a very supportive bunch. So I feel like they're not going to be as judgmental towards me if I mess up a little bit as maybe some other networkers would be. So that would be a good place to start. So yeah, I went for it. And yeah, I mean, I was a little bit nervous. I did stumble on my words a bit while I was doing it, but overall, I think it went quite well. And I got a lot of good feedback and comments at the end. So I'm glad I did it in the end. And as for will I do more talks, I'm not really sure. I mean, never say never, but I'm not actively seeking either. But, we'll just see anyway. I'm just focusing on other things. But if I get invited, then I'll just give it a consideration and we'll see.
Are you ready for adventure? Are you ready to become location independent? Are you ready to create your ultimate dream lifestyle? then I have just the thing for you. The Flip the Script Academy with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. My online academy, which is bursting with life-changing courses and resources, is for anyone who feels stuck in life, wants to make a change, would like more meaning and purpose in their life, wants to shake things up, especially after the pandemic, wants to start or grow a business or side hustle they can run from the road, wants to incorporate travel into their lives in all kinds of different ways, or is simply ready for an epic transformation. For more info, just head to traveltransformationcoach.com/academy. And now, back to the Travel Transformation Podcast. Nice. Well, yeah, well done for doing that, because I still...
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot better, but public speaking is still like my number one fear ever.
Yeah.
So that's really good. So talking a bit about travel again, I asked you where your favorite places in the world are, and you said Ghana, Spain, and Hong Kong. So can you tell me why these places are so special to you? Why you chose them?
Yeah, I know. They're all quite diverse, eh? So Ghana, I went in back in December 2019. I was working with a client that were like working with this festival called Afro Nation Festival that it originated in Portugal, but they started doing it in other countries as well, like one of them in Ghana. So yeah, I was like, oh, I really want to go to this and get involved. So yeah, I got the opportunity to go over there and do a bit of work, help manage photographers there, and also just see this country that I hadn't really given much thought to visiting before, to be honest, because like I think most of Africa's not really promoted much. I think there are a few countries like maybe Tanzania, Zanzibar, South Africa, Morocco that get good tourist promotion, but definitely West Africa doesn't really so much. But Ghana have done really well, I think, in recent years to promote it a bit more, especially to like African diaspora and stuff. So yeah, I kind of got a bit interested in it, and Ghana is a lovely country, you know. I really like it. It's warm. It's hot weather if you love that, which I do. Beautiful beaches, friendly people, good food as well. Because my family's Nigerian, and some of the foods are a bit similar to Ghanaian food as well, like jollof rice and plantain and things like that. So yeah, I just really liked it there, and I'm trying to find a way to go back at some point. Only downside is flights are quite expensive to and from, you know. But yeah, hopefully I'll go back and maybe spend a bit longer. So yeah. And then as for other countries, I said Spain. Spain, I've just started to fall in love with a bit more, actually. Yeah, I'm sure I went about 3 or 4 separate trips last year. Can't remember now. Yeah, I think it was 4 actually. Yeah, because obviously I went to Javier for the Sun and Co. And then I went to Fuerteventura, just went on a 1-week holiday with my husband. Then I went to the Basque Country, Sun and Co, pop up co-living. And then I went to Valencia for a month with my husband there co-living. So yeah, it's just, there seems to be a lot going on, especially with the digital nomad world there. So it's very easy to kind of just go there and find a good co-living. Like there are loads of good co-livings there. And it's just, as well, it's quite an easy country to navigate. It's good weather and culture. Obviously, a bit of language barrier. I mean, a lot of people speak English, though, so it's not too bad. And the co-livers all tend to speak English. But because I am learning Spanish as well, I've decided, my trips to Spain last year inspired me to think, oh, I'm going to start learning Spanish. I actually did do it for GCSE when I was at school. So, yeah, and then I just never practiced it after. But I thought, oh, that's a bit of a shame, actually, that I didn't practice it. I want to just get back into it now. So yeah, I've been doing that, and obviously I'm back in Spain now in Gran Canaria, so yeah, I just really like it here, and I want to just keep visiting as often as I can. And then Hong Kong, I only spent 4 days there. Yeah, I went once. This was, so it's quite a while ago. But yeah, that was like my first is where I stopped there on my way to Australia, and yeah, it was a solo trip, but I really liked Hong Kong. It was quite an experience, you know. Like, it's easy to navigate. It's pretty safe. It's quite nice warm weather as well. Like, when I went in end of January, I love the culture and some of the friendly people, really good food, things like that. So, yeah, I'll definitely be up for visiting there again. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I went to Hong Kong, but again, probably only for 3 or 4 days. I was sort of coming down China, and then we're going to Southeast Asia, and I really liked it as well. The harbour area was really nice, just watching all the boats, and there was like this pirate ship boat going along, and then they do the harbour light show. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I like Hong Kong. And I want to ask you about the co-living in Valencia, because I went to Valencia for a few days after I went to the Javier co-living, and just stayed in like an Airbnb, someone's random bedroom. But I really, really liked Valencia. So which co-living did you stay at, and would you recommend it?
It's called Four Wonders. And I would say I've got good words about it. Like both me and my husband stayed there. We liked it. I would say it's not it doesn't beat Sun and Co, if I'm being honest, but I did like it. I think Four Wonders, they do events. They're not really co-created with the community though. It's just a case of like, hey, this event's on. Do you want to go to it? Do you not, sort of thing. And sometimes they are a bit flexible and stuff, but otherwise it is a bit more like the community might decide to kind of be like, oh, let's go to this dinner or go on this night out. And luckily that did happen quite often enough to be like, it was quite a social place. There were quite a good bunch that were staying there with us that we socialized with and stuff. But I think it was a bit low on like, how Sun and Co does more skill shares, more businessy stuff. I didn't really get much of that for Wonders, so that was a bit of a downside. But in terms of just pure socializing, it was pretty decent. It was a good accommodation, good area. So yeah, I would recommend it. Yeah, but yeah, it wasn't my top co-living, but it's still a nice place to stay, I think. Yeah, and you meet some good people.
I think that's the thing. If you stay in a co-living that you really love and like you love how they do things and stuff, then you're always comparing it to that, aren't you?
Yeah.
If it's not up to scratch, you're like, But no, that's interesting. I'll have to look into that. Okay, so you travel a lot, obviously, but do you have any country or place that you haven't been to yet that's sort of top of your travel bucket list? And do you have any plans to go there anytime soon?
There are a few actually, but I'll mention one just for time anyway, for now. Japan is one that I've always wanted to go to. Like, I've just always had a bit of an interest, like I like manga and a bit of anime, I like their art. They look like they have quite an interesting culture and stuff. The food as well is good. I like udon noodles and different other Japanese food. And it's just somewhere I just really, hopefully I want to go visit one day. I've just not made it so far. It was somewhere I was considering actually on my way to Australia. I was going to do a stopover in either Japan, Hong Kong, or South Korea. South Korea is another one I've not been to yet, but I really want to go to. But yeah, in the end, I went for Hong Kong. But yeah, I still want to try and get to Japan and South Korea at some point. So.
Oh, same. Japan is right at the top of my list as well. And also South Korea as well. So yeah. Everywhere really, but I've always wanted to go to Japan. You mentioned food there, and you mentioned before some of the Nigerian food, and I just want to mention them. When we were in the co-living in the pop-up Basque Country, we sort of had cooking teams, and you did a sort of Nigerian night, and you had the jollof rice, and I'm going to get this wrong, the dessert, was it puff puff? Have I made that up?
Yeah, that's right.
Puff puff. Yes, delicious. I just wanted to say that. Put that out there. And I remember you did the jollof rice, and then because a lot of the time there's leftovers ready for like the next day, and everyone just like descended on the fridge and just like completely ate everything. And that just shows how tasty it is. So highly recommend. If you've not tried Nigerian food, definitely give it a go, because it was really delicious. So that was awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Okay, so I just got two last quick questions. So first of all, where can people find and follow you online? And I'll put those links in the show notes as well. And is there anything else you want to mention, or any last message you want to get across to our listeners about travel or about anything else before we go?
Yeah, so I have a website for my virtual assistant my virtual assistant business. It's toks.rocks, so TOKS.ROCKS. And then for my travel blog, I've got tokstravels.com, it's called. So you'll be able to click it in the show links. And then from there you can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram, both my virtual assistant business and my travel blog are on Instagram. Yeah, and then just for myself and my virtual assistant business, I'm on LinkedIn quite a lot. I'm quite active on there. I've got a Facebook page as well that you can follow. I've got Twitter as well. I'm not so active on there, but you can follow me if you want. Yeah, those are the main places I would say at the moment. Yeah, I'm on Pinterest as well. Yeah.
All the platforms.
Yeah. But I'd say I'm most active on LinkedIn and Instagram to some extent. So yeah, you can follow me in all those places. And sorry, what was your second question again?
Just is there anything else you want to mention that we've not talked about, or any message you want to get across to people, maybe people who are considering solo travel and have never tried it, or considering co-livings and never tried it, like any kind of message you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, solo travel, definitely recommend it because I'm all for, like, if you want to do something and you've not got people to do it with, just go do it yourself. You'll either enjoy it by yourself or you'll meet people to enjoy it with. So it's definitely worth doing. The co-livings as well, I really like them. If you're someone that likes kind of community thing, community-based travel, I think co-livings are really good. They're kind of like hostels, but a bit more, grown up, I guess.
Yeah.
And more geared at digital nomads as well. They've got the infrastructure that you can, like, you're going to get good Wi-Fi and good desks to work at and all those things. And some of them have professional beds, not all, but some. And yeah, it's just a good for things like that, really, and having that kind of in-person community. So yeah, definitely recommend giving co-lives a try. I find them a really fruitful experience. And yeah, I think that's all my tips for now.
Yeah, I love that. I love saying that co-livings are like grown-up hostels. It's such a great description. And yeah, I personally feel, I know there are a lot of boutique hostels and stuff around these days, which, are not like the old school hostels, but I feel maybe a little too old, me personally, for hostels these days. I need my sleep and that kind of stuff, but I love co-livings. Like that suits me. So
yeah,
grown-up hostels.
That.
Yeah,
love it. I think I'm going that way. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I occasionally do hostels, but I don't think I can do them for as long as I used to when I was 21. It's just, yeah. I'm just like, I'm a bit fed up of sharing a room.
Exactly. Yeah, the sharing the room is the thing that gets me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It was so nice to catch up and to see you again, and hopefully we'll see each other again soon in the future. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, rate and review, and spread the word, because it's my mission to help as many people as possible to flip the script on their lives and transform through travel. And remember, life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.